Young men in the Molenbeek district of Brussels have been sent a series of text messages over the weekend calling on them to fight the Westerners and to make the right choice. The text messages came from an untraced prepaid phone account and came on the heels of a video that was shown up and thrown up on Facebook that allegedly showed a number of young men in the district shouting and cheering and celebrating the terrorist attacks in the city earlier that week. This is the text message, a translation of the text message that was sent out in French, obviously. It said this, it says, "My brother, why not fight the Westerners? Make the right choice in your life." Now, Nick, as I said, it is not known who sent these messages, and it is also not known how the sender got the recipient's phone numbers. The supposition is that they got telephone numbers, they downloaded them from the phone records of new recruits. So any new recruit that comes to their cause, they get his, it'll be a male, almost invariably, his telephone accounts and just hit every single person who's in his address book. And they've sent out a series of these text messages. Now, as I said, the source is not yet known, and there's speculation as to who this was. But at the moment, the speculation is that it's one of these, an ISIS handler. And there have been a number of reports of ISIS handlers aggressively targeting young men in Molenbeek, going after them. Eyewitness accounts saying that on one particular person was hit 140 times with phone calls, text messages, trying to get them to do something.
Yeah, it's always interesting when you get an insight directly into how ISIS operates, like as far as organization goes, right? I mean, we've done stories talking about application forms that you have to fill out when you get there, right? And put out all your information. To see them coming out and basically doing cold calls on people and sending out text messages is also interesting. So what, they're going through their phone book and they'll text all their buddies, assuming that one or two or three will have the same mindset, and hopefully, I mean, that in itself is terrifying. You know, we can drop all the bombs we want, we can form all the coalitions we want in the world, but until we get to the root of the problem, which is addressing, you know, marginalized youth in these outskirts of these bigger cities like Brussels, and we have Molenbeek, for example, we're never going to defeat ISIS. That's where the real problem lies, because that's what they tap into, right? These kids that feel disenfranchised and marginalized, and they're looking for something.
Yeah, and I think you're 100% right. You know, Molenbeek has 50% youth unemployment. The word is that if you apply for a job and you have a Molenbeek postal code, you haven't got a chance. So it is an impoverished area. They don't feel Belgian. They don't feel Flemish. They don't feel anything. They don't feel a sense of these. I'm trying to say they. The Muslim immigrant population that reside there do not feel any sense of identity with the country.
Even if they're first generation, same, given their last name and everything.
Correct. They don't feel politically represented, and they feel as though they're so marginalized by society, and that the anti-immigrant vitriol is so extensive, that right-wing vitriol that we've talked about time and time again on the show. The Vlaams Belang is a party that keeps coming up now. It's no coincidence that Vlaams Belang has a very strong presence in Molenbeek. And so this is being played out, this right-wing neo-Nazi dispute is being played out right on the very streets where these people are being recruited. It's no coincidence, therefore, that you see a disproportionate number of young men leaving Belgium and going to fight in Syria and Iraq. And so as a consequence, you're absolutely 100% right. You have to look at the socioeconomic underlying causes of this, why they have been essentially abandoned by society, abandoned by the government, as much as you have to look at the failures of the Belgian government and their security services. You have to look at those fundamental underlying problems if you're ever actually really going to address the issue.
Yeah. Right, and it's really terrifying to see how persistent they are. He called one kid 140 times. Imagine if some ISIS recruiter was calling you that often. I mean, that's nuts. And how are they going to treat you? Are they going to come after you if you say no or something? That must be a terrifying situation to be in. First off, you feel like you're disenfranchised. You feel like you don't belong in this country, and then your only other option is fucking ISIS. Great.
Yeah, I mean, but they're a source of inspiration and hope, and they're fighting a just cause, and you're trying to represent a philosophy and an identity with which you believe. And you're right, it's a clarion call to these individuals, and it is really a socioeconomic, as much as a socioeconomic issue as it is anything to do with religion. And so when we start talking about policing, you can just see how it descends and dissolves. The whole argument to police Muslim communities per se just doesn't hold water, because it is specific to certain pockets and certain situations and countries rather than just a broad brush approach, because the broad brush approach, I'm afraid, just is not working.